please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Take a quick check on what's happening across the European markets, because that's the first tick that you're seeing on your screen. It's actually a mixed bag. You'd have to say flat, nothing really to talk about. But the FTSE market is not doing too badly, up almost 0.3%. But let's get you a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that SR Steel, the lenders, will be meeting ArcelorMittal and New Metal today. Ritu Singh has the details for us. Ritu, over to you.
That's right. You know, today is a crucial meeting of SR Steel, and the two bidders that have, submitted resolution plans for the company are for NCLT's direction. So both.
Okay, Ritu, we can't hear you. So what we're going to do is try and reconnect with you in a bit. But let's do one thing. Let's look at the markets a bit. As I was telling you, the mid-cap index is actually under pressure. So now it's getting worse. It's down almost about half-odd%. About 0.4% or so. PC Jewelers, JP Power, SAIL, Ruchi Soya, Idea Cellular are some stocks that have really fallen in the last 5-10 minutes or so. But the other big story of the last 24 hours is L&T exiting its non-core business. The company will sell its electric and automation business to Germany's Schneider Electric for 14,000 crore rupees. Anisha is here to give us all the details. Anisha?
Well, yes, as you mentioned, Sonia, they have signed an agreement to transfer the electricals and automation business to Schneider at a valuation of 14,000 odd crores, and the transaction is expected to be completed over the next 18 months. Now, to give you a sense of the A&A business of the company, it formed around 5 to 6% of the company's top line. The margin profile of this was strong at around 15%, and that's the reason the analysts were pegging an operating profit of 1,000 to 1,200 crores on this particular business of L&T, giving it a valuation of anywhere between 13 to 15,000 odd crores. So as far as the valuation is concerned, 14,000 odd crores has been deemed fair by most of the analysts. In fact, CLSA says that this is a very extremely positive disinvestment coming in from the company. They're also flagging off the possibility of a special dividend, because remember, the management has been telling us that they have been wanting to increase the dividend payout ratio to 50% versus the 30-35% right now. They also expect a positive impact as far as EPS as well as the target price is concerned. Kotak Securities also concurs the view and says that it might lead to an accretion of around 2% as far as the EPS of FY19 is concerned. But to me, the overall positive is that the management is getting serious towards making all these non-core divestments, because that is something we have been hearing from the management for the last couple of years. And this is just the beginning of what we are seeing. Of course, will help the company in terms of working capital as well, because they'll get a whole lot in cash consideration. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that. We spoke to the management of both the companies on the contours of this particular deal. Listen in to what they had to say.
There are certain regulatory as well as competitive commission approvals that we need to get. Now, as I explained, there are a few products which has certain implications on CCI. But one cannot look at certain products alone, because nobody buys a product. When you're building a factory, when you're building an industrial complex, when you're building a building, or when you're building some automation solutions, you buy the entire range of products. You cannot have mismatch of products in that. And therefore, one has to view it holistically. And when you view it holistically, I think this is a transaction which needs to go through, and that's the way we will propose it, and that's the way we'll take it forward. Transaction is completed only when all the regulatory approvals are through, and that we estimate it to be between 12 to 18 months, maybe earlier. But having said that, we have given ourselves that time, and once the approvals are through, the real transaction takes place, and we will transfer the business to Schneider.
This transaction is also very important from Schneider Electric point of view, which brings strong global technology platform, digital offers, and global presence, together with electrical and automation's wide domestic reach, coupled with end-to-end R&D and manufacturing capabilities specific to Indian market. India will also become the third largest country in terms of revenue for Schneider Electric, at par with France. Temasek is our strategic partner for this deal. They are also equally committed for new economies, and especially with respect to India as a country, and they are, have been investing here, and with this deal, they are very strongly reinforcing their commitment for India, like Schneider Electric. This business is very, very important and strategic for us. It's core of our business. By combining this business of electrical and automation together with our low voltage and industrial product automation products business, we will be creating a very strong business here in India, which is strategic not only for India, for our stakeholders in India, but it plays a very strategic component in our global footprint. And this will be serving, for sure, the fast-growing India low voltage and industrial automation market.
Okay, that's about the big deal. Let's move on to a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Sources tell the channel that Essar Steel lenders will be meeting ArcelorMittal and New Metal today. Ritu Singh with the details as always. Ritu?
Well, both New Metal and ArcelorMittal that had submitted bids for Essar Steel in the first round will be making their presentations on the offer that they have to the lenders of Essar Steel today. Now, this, of course, comes after the NCLT directed the lenders to restudy their offers and allow them a chance to cure their disability under Section 29A. We understand that after today's meeting, when the presentations are done, the lenders will give a notice to both of the players stating exactly what is to be done to be eligible under Section 29A. And both of them, we understand, will have to clear dues, for Essar as well, for the New Metal Consortium, there will be Essar dues to clear, and for ArcelorMittal, KSS, Petron dues. So after this process is done, both of the players, we understand, will be given a 7-day window to come back with their eligibility. Otherwise, the bids may not be accepted.
There's some news coming in that the cabinet has approved a subsidy for sugar mills. There was an expectation that there would be an export subsidy given to sugar mills. So perhaps it is to do with that. We await more clarity, but for now, this is taken very well by the street. All your sugar stocks are up almost about 1 to 3% or so. Remember, earlier the Food Ministry officials had said that there was no proposal by the government to give any export subsidy to sugar mills. But for now, that apparently the cabinet has gone ahead and approved that. So I guess this is something that the street will take positively.
Yes, and sugar mills are, going through challenging times financially on account of a drop in sugar prices as well as a supply glut. In fact, according to the latest report, sugar mills owe farmers to the tune of 20,000 crore rupees by way of arrears, and they've been unable to make the payment to the farmers on the back of a sharp fall in sugar prices as well as the supply glut. So they've been making presentations to the government, asking for some kind of a relief, and now you've got it. The cabinet has approved a subsidy for sugar mills, which will help the sugar mills, pay the arrears that they have towards the farmers. Across the board, big moves seen. So Dwarikesh up 4%, Balrampur is rally 4.5%, Kothari sugar, big moves seen. This comes as a relief for sugar mills who are facing big losses.
Oh, absolutely. And the sugar arrears were maximum in the state of Uttar Pradesh. There was some talk that it was to the tune of almost 8,000 odd crores. And in the past, as we know, the government had given a lot of export incentives, assistance in ethanol blending, etc. But this definitely comes as a huge positive, the subsidy for sugar mills that the cabinet has approved. Manisha Gupta is here to give us more details on that. Manisha, big relief seen on many of these companies.
Oh, well, absolutely. We were looking at sugar prices at a 28-month lows, and it has been below cost of production for more than a year now. And this definitely comes as a relief because the sugar sector has been actually ailing because we've seen the higher cane prices, which have gone up by 11% year-on-year basis. If you look at the sugar prices on the other side, they have been down by 13%. So there actually has been no relief for the sugar as a sector where you are looking at higher production, low sugar prices. The global surplus in sugar is something that hasn't been able to make it very profitable for the sugar as an industry to export as well. So even as the government has given a mandate of export of 2 million tons, the industry has not been able to do that. It has been asking for a production subsidy, and that clearly is what we seem to have seen today. I can't see the quantum of that on what the subsidy really has been, but what we understand from sources and what the industry has been asking for is 55 rupees per ton as in sense of cane prices. So that, I believe, is what we would have gotten. Of course,
Manisha, if we do get 55 rupees per ton as per the expectations, how much of a relief will it provide? Will it cover the entire arrears that the mills owe the farmers?
Well, not all of it, because as of now, we are looking at all-time highs of 20,000 crores of an arrears standing right now. And as you said, UP, of course, is a major one where the arrears come in. What we are given to understand is that it is going to be around something like 16 billion rupees is what it would cost the exchequer, as in we understand on that one. But it definitely is a big support. And this is not the only thing. This, of course, has been cleared in the cabinet today. But what the other things that the industry has been asking and the group of ministers have been talking about also is the sugar cess, creating of sugar as in sense of buffer stocks. The GST revision on ethanol is yet another thing. So there have been those 4 to 5 items on the agenda. One of that, of course, has gone through today, but there is much more to come.
Okay, in fact, we do have M. Manikam who joins in now, and we're going to get Sonal as well to tell us what the impact of all of this would be on the sugar companies. But Mr. Manikam, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a loss-making business for mills for a very long time. We don't know the quantum of the subsidy, but the fact that it has been approved, how much of a positive do you think it could be?
We'll have to see what is the modality of the subsidy.
Yeah.
The last 2 times we actually got a loan which crippled us further. So this we'll have to see whether it's a kind of a loan or a subsidy and what kind of conditions are attached to it. So only then we'll be able to make a proper comment on that.
Mr. Manikam, what is your sense with this subsidy coming in? Do you see the exports being facilitated now? The 2 million mandate that the mills have, do you see that getting through?
I don't think it's going to be that easy. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of subsidy they're going to give, because the difference between the international market price and break-even today is almost something like 14 rupees a kilo. That's a huge amount of subsidy. It's required. So I'm not sure if it... And if the subsidy is announced anyway, the world market will go down again.
So even as, we were discussing, even if it is at 55 rupees per ton, how much of, how will it make life easier for you with that kind of quantum?
See, we are talking about 14,000 rupees a ton gap. Okay, so I don't know the 55 rupees per ton, even if it's taken for all production, it'll still be about, 500
for this season. I understand
so.
this is going to be for this season, though.
Yeah. I mean, 1,400 rupees, sorry, not 14,000, 1,400 rupees. But it's going to be tough.
Okay, I think we're also getting in reactions from Abhinash Verma of ISMA. Yes, we've got the Director General of ISMA joining us on the phone line. Abhinash, do you have more detail? What is the nature of subsidy which has been approved by the Cabinet?
I still don't have the exact approval details, but the discussion that we were having with the government was regarding a production subsidy on the FRP, which could be paid directly to the farmers. And whatever newspaper reports that we were reading, I don't know whether that has got approved or that was the final proposal, but it was amounting to 55 rupees per ton of sugar cane, which would have worked out to about 1,600 crore in this season.
Okay, so 55 rupees per ton, but is that enough, or what is the expectation?
I mean, the expectation was certainly higher.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that is enough, because the losses are substantially higher. But the important message which I take from here is that the government has seriously accepted the fact that the industry is losing money and the farmers are under distress. And therefore, if 55 rupees per ton of sugarcane has been approved, at least I take it as a very positive signal that something is going to happen further from here for the industry.
Abhinash, you're saying 55 rupees per ton will provide relief to the tune of 1,600 crore rupees?
For the whole industry.
For the whole industry.
Multiply that 55 rupees with the total quantum of sugarcane that the industry would have crushed in the year, it would work out to about 1,600 crore.
But that is paltry compared to the dues of 20,000 crore rupees owed by the mills, right?
It is certainly that, and then obviously the losses are much more. But even if a part of the losses is compensated or taken up by the government, it's a measure, it's a positive measure. And obviously there would be something more coming up in the future.
Avinash, also since we have you with us, what is the output or the production that we're looking at this time around? 31 million tons is what the markets really seem to be factoring in.
I have not finalized the 30th April position, but my understanding would be we should be landing between 315 to 320 lakh tons, slightly just above 315 lakh tons.
Okay. And will all of this, how will this facilitate the exports, that compulsory export of 2 million tons that has to take place?
This subsidy, if the government gives to us on the FRP, it certainly reduces our burden to pay to the farmers to that extent. It improves our cash flows, and it gives us a small strength to take a risk on the exports. So that kind of, I would say, may push some exports out of the country.
Avinash, also one more thing from my side is, so what is your sense now? The 2 million export that has been that is compulsory for the mills, does it that in any sense facilitate this, makes it easier for the mills to do? Where are we on that?
First of all, there is no connection between this production subsidy of the government on sugarcane directly to the farmers and the export. There is absolutely no linkage.
I understand.
But what it does is it allows us some freedom, some space to take a risk on the exports, because there is a loss on exports. Our current calculation suggests that the loss will be about 10 rupees per kilo on the exports. And if the government does help us on the sugarcane, does help us on ethanol front, does help us on some other issues, then probably it gives us that strength and encourages us to participate.
Are you also looking at some direct export subsidy to come in as well?
No, we are not even asked for direct subsidy on exports, and that's not WTO compatible, so that's not going to happen.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Manikam and Avinash, thank you so much for stopping by. Well, the stocks are still spiking up almost about 3.5 to 4% for many of them. Manisha, last word from your end?
Well, as both of these guys from the sugar industry have said, it doesn't really impact so much. So I don't think the gains that we have seen in the sugar in sense of prices or stocks is going to stay too long, because...
And we don't know the quantum, we don't know the modalities
even
as well,
if we go with 5.5 rupees or 55 rupees per tons, as these guys said, they have been asking for 7.5. What you have is 5.5. It has been done before in 2013. At that time, the quantum was on the higher side. But as they're mentioning, it doesn't really impact the sugar as a sector or industry too much. So I think...
because the arrears are far too high.
So a knee-jerk reaction perhaps, and as you can see, the stock prices have already started coming down. So there's plenty happening in the commodity markets, not just agro, but the non-agro space as well, where we have seen some opportunity buying come in for many of those commodities. So whether it's the gold prices, which did hit nearly 4-month lows yesterday, have seen some buying come in. How should you be trading all of that space? For that, Dharmesh Bhatia now joins us. Dharmesh, what is your sense for the precious metals as a sector? Are you a buyer back in gold, or do you see 1300 breach on the lower side?
Good afternoon, Manisha. Regarding bullion pack, yes, there is some kind of a bounce back. There's two concerns. The dollar index started showing some consolidation at 92.25, 92.3 level mark. It was a sharp rally in dollar index, which eventually softened the commodities, bullion market and energy. But right now, I think some kind of a profit booking in the dollar can be seen. This will trigger the gold and silver price a little higher. I'm expecting the gold showing some kind of a support at $1,300 in psychological and domestic market. With rupee getting depreciated, you can see the gold in domestic market triggering higher levels. So for intraday or 1 or 2 day perspective, definitely I will go long for maybe around 200 to 300 rupees higher from the current level also.
Dharmesh, also any pick that you're taking in from the metals as a sector, because while we have seen some buying come in, do you see it really sustaining? Because the China demand growth numbers are a bit of a concern here, while of course we have seen nickel and steel kind of metals gain up today.
Definitely, the bounce back is just maybe you can see a dead cat bounce, but this bounce can trigger a little higher also. So for short term, definitely I'll suggest for speculators and intraday traders to go long. And you can expect nickel also. If you see nickel trading at around 900 as a base and just jumping back to 940, 950 level mark, it's a good opportunity for traders to go long for a short term. And with rupee getting depreciated, we are getting a double support with international and domestic. So I think I will suggest you to go long for short term.